You can't take over someone's country. I mean, come on, or
Right.
land, whatever you want to refer to it as. I mean, you can't do
Yeah.
that. So I could say in America, it's pretty common. You see a lot of white men with black girls, and for some reason they got the hottest black girls in the world. I'm like, God damn, bro! Start at the bottom and work up. You know what I mean?
All right. So welcome back to another segment of 5 and 5 with two guys, Mr. Darwick Clark and myself, and we kind of present these questions on a weekly basis. Um, that's pretty much it. So Mr. Darwick Clark, what's up? What's happening? What's happening on your side?
I'm doing well, man. Just got off the golf course, played 9 holes, and now I'm ready to get our show rolling. Let's go.
Yeah, I see the whole golf attire going, so it
Yeah,
was
yeah.
pretty cool.
I can't play, so I gotta look like I can play.
All right, well, at least you admit it. You can't play. I mean, I haven't played in a long time. Last time I played, I my attire wasn't like yours. I had like some sleeveless attire, and the guys
Oh
that I was
wow.
with was like, they were like, Derek, this is not appropriate on the golf course.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's get this going. Let's start this thing going like this. So, is there a price on love when it comes to relationships, man?
I don't think there's a price. I think for ones that want to have prenups and stuff like that, in my opinion, that's acceptable. And I think it goes both ways for the male and the female, so it's not like a sexist thing. Because sometimes female comes into the relationship with more financial security than the male counterparts. But I think you can't put a price on love, but there's some guardrails and some securities that the male or female should try to at least establish. I'll give you an example, a quick example. Like my wife's money is her money, and my money is our money. And I don't have a problem with it. I'll pay all the bills, do everything. I don't have a problem with it because there's women that need that financial cushion in case stuff goes south. So I don't think there's a price, but you still need to get some guidelines, I guess.
Yeah, sounds very similar on my end too. Sounds probably ring a bell for a lot of guys out there.
Yeah,
So,
oh yeah. But I mean, like, okay, you can't really blame the women, because or the men if the men are in the other situation because they say what 50% of marriages end up in divorce. So I mean, if it's not me, it's gonna be you, right?
already happened to me. So,
Yeah, okay. Well, I'm not doing it twice, so.
ain't nothing wrong with marriage. You can do it as many times as you want. All right. So you got a question for me too, or you want to just keep rattling off some stuff, man?
Yeah,
I
you
mean,
go. You go. You go.
all right. So we talk about you know, is there a price on love? And I guess it kind of affiliates with prenups. Are you big on prenups? Do you think do you think that it's the go-to thing these days, or do you think that it complicates situations?
I don't think it complicates anything. Um, I mean, because when you're looking for love, I mean, you might have a list of things that you're looking for in a spouse, and sometimes different spouses come to the table with different things. So if you are a financially stable person, you can say, okay, well, I have $2 and I want to protect my $2. So let's have a prenup, and whatever we make going forward will be our dollars. And I don't see anything wrong with that coming from both ends. I don't think you love the person less, but you live in a world of reality of what's possible, and I wouldn't have a problem if a lady asked me to sign a prenup. I don't think a lady should have a problem if I do the same. I mean, I don't think it complicates what you feel for that person. You're just drawing up a financial contract, you know. And we have verbal contracts with a spouse all the time, you know. Who takes the garbage out? Who does this? Who does that? But for some reason, the financial thing always sparks these huge debates and sometimes divorce, you know. But I mean, if I had to sign one and I love the person, I'll sign one. And if I ask some person to sign one and they love me, I think they should sign it. But that's my opinion.
But if you got nothing to lose, then I guess say for instance you don't have a lot of assets and you're going into a relationship, pretty much on a blank slate. Um, I guess that's easier. Or
Yeah, it's easier for a person who's not who will be on the losing end. Thank you. Yeah, it's easier for the person that will be on the on the point of gain, you know. Then they may not want to sign it, and then the person that has it to lose, they're like, why won't you sign it, you know?
yeah,
But it depends on which side of the coin you're on. But I mean, if I'm on the lesser end, I don't see a problem. Or if I'm on the higher end, I shouldn't see the other person having a problem. You know, it's kind of like I went into a partnership with someone, and I use this analogy all the time. Everyone plans the beginning, you know, the start of everything. Okay, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, we're gonna put in this, we're gonna do that. But no one ever plans the end. You know, how is this gonna end? How are we gonna dissolve it? You know, and I think you have to have both conversations.
yeah. The amazing thing about this conversation is that we are having it. Can you imagine? We're having like these days it's a regular topic. And the reason why I ask you that is because a young man he was asking me about prenup. It seems pretty normal in their world now. So
Mm-hmm.
I just figure let me ask you about that. We both being older people now. These young guys they already figured it out, and I
Right.
guess prenups are pretty normal in their world now. So
Yeah. Well, I'm saying this. 50% divorce rate would cause that. You know. And look,
yeah,
the other half may come into a relationship and say, you know what, I'll give it a go. Not 100% committed, and if it lasts 5 years, walk away with half of what somebody else occurred. You know, and accrue is the right word, I think. And to me, that's not fair on either end.
yeah.
But what you guys amassed together, then going forward, that's your guys' stuff.
Yeah, a lot of wealth being built over the years that way. People, kind of slept with someone, male and female, and
Yeah, it goes both
you
ways. Yeah,
know, you know, lucky for them or fortunate enough,
or
their families got some wealth.
unlucky for the other person.
Well, it could have been good during the time if the person was alive or is still alive or was
Yeah,
alive. But sometimes it's like unfortunate situations that take the other one or something, stuff like that.
and sometimes people grow apart too. Things change in your life, and you're like, I don't want to be in this place anymore. And it's nothing to do with their spouse. It's just they've grown or the other person have grown, and time to move on.
Yeah. All right. Well, we got another question here for you, and this is not really relationship, but I guess relationship, but not completely like male, female, just relationships. So, have you ever met someone who you respected, and after meeting them, in the living flesh, you met someone, you saw someone from a distance or whatever, on TV or whatever, right? And you got a lot of respect for them. You set the pedestal really high, and then after you met them, you said to yourself, "Whoa, whoa, that's not what I expected." And then and then you start saying, "Shoot, well, I really wish I hadn't met that person." You know what I mean? Have you ever met someone like that?
I have. I would have to say when I was younger, because you kind of look up to people. You know, you see people, you think what their life should be, or you have this vision of them, and then sometimes they don't live up to it, and you're so disappointed. But as I got older, more exposed to life, I tend not to judge or set people up too high. But as a younger person, yes, that happened to me many, many times. I I used to be more judgmental then too. I would see people do things and judge them, not knowing the situation, not knowing their life experiences, And I was always quick to judge, like, oh my God, that person should not be doing that, and not really knowing their history or why. So I don't do that anymore. I don't set myself up, for lack of a better word.
Yeah, it's probably a good lesson. I guess the experiences that you had probably would have shaped you in the way how you think, the way you see things now. And I mean, it could happen to you too as well, or to me, someone meeting one
Yeah,
of us and say, "Yo,
I didn't
I
expect that.
didn't expect that from him." Yeah,
Case in point, like when I first moved to the U.S., everybody says the F bomb like normal, like hell with a asshole in Barbados. And every time someone would say that, I would like, turn my head because I'll be shocked, because we don't really use the F bomb in Barbados unless somebody's really angry at you.
right.
And they use it like a guy told me they can use it in a complete sentence. So it could be a noun or verb adjective. It's like, but it was normal, so it took me a while to get used to that F bomb.
Yeah, that is something because I guess in our Barbadian culture, um, saying stuff like that could be very offensive.
Right, right.
A lot of times I go around even families, and it seems pretty normal. It's not a way that I would teach my
You
children to
can't,
speak,
yeah, yeah,
but I hear it all the time. I see it within families. They seem to be okay with it.
yeah.
It's no big deal.
We
All
we
right.
were raised more conservative.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I guess the Bible and the Christianity maybe have something to do with it. Maybe I'm not entirely sure, but I wish someone could tell me or give me more information on that. So,
Well, I think it's part of the American verbiage. The F bomb comes out. I mean, like a guy would say, "What the F is up?" And that's just saying, "How you
yeah,
doing?"
yeah. All right.
So,
Well, I want to revisit a conversation we probably had like last year. Um, and you tell me if this is correct or not. But I think we visited this conversation, and you said I think you said one time that uh, when we were referring to Israel and the Palestine, right? You said Israel has a right to defend itself, right? Is that correct? And
yeah, I still believe that. Yes. Go ahead.
yeah, and I mean at this point, are they still defending themselves?
That's a very, very good question. But look, I still think they had the right to defend themselves. But I think it's gone beyond defending yourself at this point in time. But I don't have a solution. I really don't. I mean, I think the war is going to be a never-ending war. Why I say that is you have kids now, right? 6, 7-year-old kids that maybe lost both parents. They're starving. They're this. Their whole country's been destroyed by Israel. And I'm sure maybe it'll be a minority of them, but enough to keep this thing going for another generation because there's going to be anger and without the facts of okay, Hamas went kidnap people, whatever, whatever. I mean, they're going to be like, well, you could have stopped, drive out Hamas, don't destroy our country. So it'd be a never-ending war. But I honestly think it's beyond the point of defending themselves right now. I think it's going into a never-ending war, and there's no solution in sight. I can't think there's a human being on Earth that has a solution for that conflict.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that, I mean, coming up as a young man, we always said we never want to touch. You know, we don't want to touch that topic. A lot
Right.
of people stayed away from it, but I think as the world has become more global, people are seeing in with cameras. Lots of media are in these two countries. Or should I even say two countries now? Because can I refer to them as countries? But people are looking in on the inside, and people are seeing what's happening, and people are obviously commenting. Uh, and I mean, it's very tough for us civilians to just watch and just kind of watch what's happening. We see all the media, the kids starving,
Yeah. The
adults
humanitarian
starving
thing.
too as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. It is.
It's really tough to
It's
watch. I
awful.
mean, it could very well happen to a lot of smaller places too. But I wish there was a solution. I wish that someone with really big balls could really pull those two parties and make it stop. But I think it's a lot deeper.
Yeah.
I think the religion part might have a play in there.
And even beyond that, it's at some point you got to say enough's enough. I think even when you say that, what is the solution? You can't just put a band-aid on it and say, okay, we'll have peace for another 5 years or 10 years, because this is going to raise its ugly head again. So there need to be a comprehensive solution where both parties agree. And then when I say that, I mean um, Gaza is ran by Hamas, and it's probably like the U.S. 50% is for one party, 50% is for the other. So 50% like Hamas, the other 50 doesn't. They function, and I don't know if there will be. I don't know if there will be a solution. I really don't.
Yeah, I mean, just to add to what you're saying, um, even when President Trump added made his statements about the having the big beautiful ocean, and the country could be the next what did he say, the Revere or something?
Revere, I think so. Yeah, he's an
I
idiot.
mean,
So
I think that kind of complicated things a little bit because people on the outside probably, oh shoot, that's a nice idea. Uh,
but
maybe
you can't take over someone's country. I mean, come on, or
yeah,
land, whatever you want to refer to it as. You can't do
yeah.
that. That's kind of like you come to Barbados and say, oh, this West Coast will be lovely. Just tear down all this stuff, chase the people out, and build condos for the 1% or whatever. You can't do that.
Well,
You
that's
can't.
already happening though.
Well,
Even
it's
though
happening, but it's not by authoritarian takeover. You know what I mean?
no, no,
It's happening,
obviously
but yeah,
it's
but
it's called you wave the carrot in front of the rabbit,
yeah, the
and
price of progress, man.
that's right, that's right.
Yeah, it is.
All right, so this last question really relates to what we were talking about just now, and do you think that regular civilians' voices are weak, with especially with the conflicts that happen as we see all over the world? Every time we look around, there's another conflict popping up somewhere else. Should more people speak out on world problems? And do you think that protesting really is effective?
It's effective, but we have to do it in large numbers. 3,000 in this state, 2,000 in that. You have to have almost like the March of Dimes. You know what I mean? You have huge numbers show up, and that's when you get the most bang for your buck. But small pockets, several different states, it's like, okay, whatever, you're protesting. But I think if you do it in massives, you organize and you do it, one place and just march and call it good. But small pockets really don't do it, especially when you have people that doesn't really give a shit. They're like whatever. But protesting works, but you have to stay on it. And I can say this with Americans: a lot of us are so busy with our own lives, we don't go out there enough and protest. Recently, you have a lot of protests against, no king. I think that's what it was called. And I wish I had the time to go down and protest with the other protesters, but I just didn't have the bandwidth. So I sat at home, I watched on TV, regretting that. I wish I was there. But protesting in massives, it usually sends a message.
Yeah. I hope it works because we see them pop up every now and then, and sometimes things get done, sometimes it doesn't. I know that there was a civil war actually going on in Ethiopia for a long time. I'm not sure if it's still happening, but I mean, media wasn't even covering that, and
No,
it's crazy,
they do not. They do not. So we always say America always lend assistance, but nothing to do with African countries. They're never like whatever. We don't need you. Kill yourselves.
Hmm.
But whenever they have a dog in a fight, they'll be there the next day. If you threaten the oil or you threaten anything that America is seems as necessary for their existence, they'll go and fight. But humanitarian stuff, they'll stay out of it. And now it's even worse with the president we have.
Well, let's end on that. You got some stuff you want to ask me, or or maybe we
Yes,
can end
so
it right now.
don't be scared,
I,
man. They're not going to be that hard. My first question is what do you think of the violence in Barbados? What do you think needs to be done to curtail it?
yeah, honestly, I think the violence in Barbados is very minimal. I mean, is big because of it's a small island, so any little shooting could be blown up pretty big, right? I do think that with the excess amount of cameras that they do have now in Barbados, and the population is really small compared to Canada or the U.S. or India or wherever where violence might happen. But that I think that law and enforcement really needs to have a change um, on how they address violence in society on the island, because it's a small population, and there's no way that a small population should be having those kind of shootings or killings or whatever that's starting to occur, um, like they are. And we gotta clamp down on it. I believe it could be one of mine, could be one of yours, could be any of us, right?
Right.
So
But my take on it, you were saying that the little shootings are kind of neither here nor there. I'm paraphrasing. But if you map out anywhere in the world, an 11-mile radius by 21 miles, 300,000 people living in there, and you're killing one a week, that would be like a hot zone anywhere else in the world. You know what I mean? If you put it in those terms. Not that it's Barbados and, oh, we got a killing once a week, or I don't know. The shootings are probably more than once a week. But yeah, that's a hot spot anywhere in the world.
yeah, and to add to what you asked me, I'll treat Barbados like how I treated COVID, and I had this conversation so many times with several different people. There's no way that one single case of COVID-19 should have been in Barbados,
No, should not.
and there's no way that Barbados should have any mass amount of shootings, or because we don't make guns. So
Right.
that means that they're coming in the same way that
Exactly.
COVID-19 came in.
Campaign. Yeah.
So so that should be prevented. So the law and enforcement, customs, whoever, um, either that's being purposely done, or we're not doing a good job.
Right. We're obviously not doing a good job. And obviously, to get a gun into Barbados, it has to be smuggled in, imported. So we're absolutely not. I mean, when I go back 40 years in Barbados, there's only a few people that had guns, and now I know tons of people that has guns. And I'm like,
Yeah.
what the hell? You know, they might be popular as the most gun place in the world.
But
I
to add to what we're saying, why is it that we want to kill ourselves so much? Because that's the only thing I can think of. Why do we need to kill ourselves so much?
well, we're just talking about the conflict, and we know violence is never the answer. War is never the answer. So if you're having violence or wars against each other in a place like Barbados, it's not going to solve anything. But again, you need to educate the youths and let them know, what you're doing is not going to end whatever you're trying to end or whatever. I don't have the answer for it. I would love the law enforcement to do more because it just looks bad on a small island that you have so much killings. It's just awful. And if we start to normalize it, it'll become like, okay, we kill two a week, three a week, five a week. What's the number? And it's always easy just to, oh yeah, to shoot every day. That's normalizing. And I don't think it works for such a small island.
And I want to add one thing before you ask me the other question when it comes to that, because I'm just asking. Well, I'm not asking questions, but I'm poking the bear a little bit because when I was there for 2 months, I asked and I speak with some people down there, and I'm very curious about what's happening. So I know in the Caribbean there's like you can crisscross the islands very easily now. You don't need much. And so there's lots of different people on the island. So I was like, culturally, we're all Caribbean, but we have different cultures within a culture. So I'm just wondering, do you think that has anything to do with it, with all these different sets of multi people passing through and living and crisscrossing and stuff?
I don't think so. And here's why: because years ago, you figured Jamaica was always the most violent Caribbean island. Haiti always had its problems. And my lifetime, I saw Trinidad and Tobago. Trinidad has become that violent country. I don't want to normalize what's happening in Barbados, and Barbados becomes a little Trinidad and Tobago. I mean, it's just you have to stop it, nip it in the bud right now. If not, it will blow. It will grow into a Trinidad. And that's a place I used to go 2 or 3 times a year. I would not go to Trinidad if you paid me to.
Right now?
Oh hell no, I would not go. And I used to stay in some relatively what we call bad areas. I used to stay in Belmont, and Laventille was a bad area. Barataria. There's only like 3 or 4 hot pockets in Trinidad, and now it seems to be everywhere.
Yeah, down there's a mess.
All right, my second question is this is Barbados related too, and then we'll get off Barbados. What do you think of the canoeman outfits? Have you seen any, and what do you think?
I love them.
That's a male answer. I love them.
Well, I can only speak from my male perspective. Um, I love the fact that it's carnival, if you want to put it that way. Someone actually was talking about that, one of the females here that's here, and they're saying that they won't spend that kind of money on the outfit because it's really next to nothing.
It's nothing. Yeah.
So
I,
I was wondering about, well, I want to stay on the outfit, but my curiosity was spending the money for the bands and the outfit. I wonder if that ties into food, drinks, and stuff like that, and the outfit is now like just a throw in, right? But the outfits is crazy. I think if no one is going to
to
if that's
police it.
something that you can normalize, like we were talking about normalizing stuff,
Yeah.
um, and us as males, we could curb our curiosity. um, I think that's great, but that's also it could be very dangerous, especially for society.
Yeah.
um,
I think
it's crazy.
so. It's like back in when I was younger, women would breastfeed in public and stuff like that, and that was normal. We come to a different society, and that's kind of shunned upon if a woman breastfeeds. So I'm worried that the outfits and stuff are getting more and more skimpier. You know what I mean? It's like I
I
don't
don't think they
know.
can get any skimpier
Well,
than
they
what they
can, they
are right
can. I
now.
don't think they can, but it's like, oh my god, I don't know. I don't know. I asked you the question and asked myself. So
But look, if you can put it this way, both you and I, we're both here smiling when we're talking about these outfits. So hopefully that these outfits will bring smiles on faces of people and not something else.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's like I don't know. I don't have an a dog in a fight, but I'm just saying for what we used to be a very conservative society, and now to see that, it might be an evolution. It's like that's what the younger people want, but I don't know. For all fart like me, it's like God, put on something more. You know what I mean?
No, well, to your point, I think like for me having three daughters, right? Like
Hmm.
I don't want to see any of them in those little tiny things.
Right.
Um, I
But
don't
but
want
but
to
how
hear
how
about any
how how how,
stories.
how can you curb that though? How can you stop that?
I can't.
Right. So
I, I'm just gonna try to teach as as much as I can, and hopefully that they understand that like me seeing them or their uncle seeing them and something like that might hurt
hmm
us so badly.
right.
It
Yeah.
might it might just
It's how you
stick us.
bring them up.
Yeah.
But
So
then they might push back and say, "Well, I have the option to do this. You're not allowing me to express myself, Dad. What is your counterpoint?"
well, you can express yourself on I mean, on a book or something. You don't have to express yourself on a
Okay, Mr. Dictator.
the
Okay, Mr.
outfit.
Dictator. Okay, Mr. Dictator.
You know what I mean? Like you don't have to outfit yourself. I mean,
But you
express
you
yourself,
you but you
that kind
can't
of
you
stuff.
well, you
I mean,
can't dictate to your daughter. I mean, you can try to teach her and bring her up the way you want her to be brought up. But well, when she becomes an adult, she said, "Well, Dad, this is what I want to do." I'm just being a devil's advocate. That's all.
well, let me put it this way: if she's willing to wear that kind of outfit and she's willing to face the consequences,
Hmm.
meaning that fight off all those perverted young men or old men from off of you.
Yeah.
Block every question that comes your way. Stop every that comes your way.
Yeah, but
If
that
you're
shouldn't be
willing to do
allowed.
all that,
That shouldn't be
sure.
allowed. That shouldn't be allowed. A woman should be able to go do. And see, I probably sound like I'm contradicting myself, but I asked you the question, not me. But a woman should be able to do whatever she wants, express herself, and not having all the hissing and the grabbing and all that bullshit. I don't believe in that. I mean, if a woman's walking down the street in a bikini, not saying hiss at me, I'm looking for attention or whatever. I'm on the other end of the spectrum there, where the guy has to control himself. But we're not teaching our kids or guys to control themselves.
Yeah,
Because like my son, if he was hissing at a female, I would put him in place. I would be like, hey, what are you doing?
your son, does he need control?
If he needs control,
Yeah.
I would assume so. I speak to him a lot, and I hear him talking to women, and yeah, I'm always on him about like, just he's like, oh, just being friendly. I'm like, no, you're not. But I don't think he is a grabby, grabby, feely, feely, hold the hand kind of thing.
Right.
But he talks to females, in a way that I would not. But again, it's a younger generation. So on the heels of that, on the dress, and what do you think about arranged marriages?
Uh, this is a interesting one for me. So
Okay,
when I was much younger, I was like, who the hell would want an arranged marriage? Who would want to just meet someone and it's already arranged for them and they have no say in it? Now I'm starting to think differently. I'm starting to
okay,
say maybe perhaps we should consider arranged marriages. Um, I don't think I'm gonna look for somebody completely terrible for one of my children,
right,
but I think that society wise, it might be good. I've seen cultures that do partake in arranged marriages, and these people have learned to love each other and
right,
make things work for each other. Um, the reason why I say this is because in our culture, we simply don't have a lot of rules. You know what I mean? We just
right,
do what we want. And that being said, we also see a lot of broken homes, a lot of
right. Mm-hmm.
fathers and mothers that are separated. And the hard part about being separated, because it happens in probably all societies, is that a lot of times we don't have the funding, the money that we can do without the separation, right? The separation, when it happens to us, we are struggling very
Mm-hmm.
much so, so that part, I see arranged marriages as a way that we um, could cooperate
Alleviate
with each
that. Yeah.
other, yeah, make it happen, bridge our finances, and make things happen. But if we continue down the line that we are continuing, we're gonna always have a lot of issues
It may
with
not be any
our
marriages at
finances.
all.
Yeah,
Let's just live together. See how it works out.
yeah, man.
All right, this is a horse racing question. What do you think of the kid Zarel Ford that's riding in Woodbine right now?
I haven't met him. I
Okay.
met him one time. Well, sorry. He was on a horse, and I was close by, and he shouted at me, and I shouted back, and I say we gotta talk or whatever. So I haven't really had a conversation with him to really have a say, in term, and that's personality wise and so forth. In terms of writing, I think he's writing pretty good. I think that he's reading the risk pretty good. Either he's doing his homework where he knows when to push and when not to push. Um, and I think when you got that kind of mentality, because he pretty much snuck in because nobody was talking about him. I asked people in Barbados when I was there. Um, no, not when I was there. I would ask him uh, when he came here, and they kind of brush it off because I guess media wasn't doing their job, so they didn't really have much to say
Well,
really about him.
it's
But
Barbados.
yeah, they didn't really have much to say about him. They, like pretty much like he doesn't like they don't know anything. But I had a tip off because when I was down there and I met Robert Pierce, and he said he was working with Ford to transition him to Woodbine. So for me, my curiosity, I was like, well, if Robert is doing that, is telling me he has some kind of connections here that probably would allow the kid to transition to Toronto pretty good. So I think he's writing good. I think he has a good read on the races. I think with opportunity, I think that he could do well because that's all that really is needed. Having good horses and good opportunities. So I think he's okay. Still haven't met him to know what he's like personality wise, but racing is okay.
Okay. Final question, and I'm gonna tie back into this arranged marriage stuff. Would you allow your daughter to be in an arranged marriage?
What, you got somebody?
No, I don't. I don't. I just want to tie back into that because, sometimes you would answer a question. It's kind of like what we used to say in Barbados when I was a kid. You don't know your white friends are racist unless you ask them to marry their sister. Now, so it's
Yeah.
like, no, no, you can't do that. So that's basically it. I'm trying to see your take on the arranged marriages if it hit home.
Well, I would have to speak to my wife about that first of
Right.
all.
Okay. Okay.
But I don't
And
think
that's a
she's
good
down
thing.
for
That's a
that.
very good thing.
Yeah, I don't think we talked about this too, and I don't think she's
Okay.
completely down for this.
Yeah.
Maybe based on experiences or whatever, someone might have a
Right.
different opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but I'm okay. Let me put it this way: the circle of people that I tend to surround myself with, I always envision maybe one of my children or whatever would come in contact with somebody who would be, you know, uphold themselves pretty well and be all right, be stable,
Right. Mm-hmm.
not someone that can mess with the chemistry or whatever, right?
Right.
But obviously that doesn't always happen. The kids go out there, they see someone that may be attractive or whatever, and they date them or whatever. But for me to completely make that effort to bridge a relationship with somebody that they don't know, I think it will be hard to sell. But there's ways of kind of like okay, introducing, maybe we can,
Right.
you know, and
Well,
parents do that a lot when the kids are
yes,
small, but when they
they
get
do.
older, it kind of fiddles away.
So, with a lot of arranged marriages, I mean, the parents know each other, met each other, kind of know your financial background, their financial
Yeah,
background, and it has a lot to do with honor. Also, if either of the kids break that bond, then you dishonor the family. So it's more than just the two kids meeting and okay, gotta go get married. But to piggyback on that, I mean, like you might have a cousin and another friend of yours has a niece or whatever, and say, hey, why don't you hook your cousin up with my niece? So it's basically in a long roundabout way, if they come
yeah,
full circle and get married, or blind date. A friend might say, hey, do you want to go out with this gal at work? She's a nice gal. Give you all the 411. You go out with her. You guys seem to be compatible. You get married. That could be in a roundabout, long way an arranged marriage. Because we
yeah.
do it, but we don't do it in those terms. But I mean, I might still be a sucker for wanting to fall in love and all the good stuff too. I don't know. But if you don't know any different, you don't know any different. If that's your culture, if that's what people do, you don't know anything outside the box. So you're like, oh, this is normal. My mom and dad did it, and they're still married, and they had four lovely kids, and it's now my turn to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, I find that cultures are always changing. Um, some people defy the culture, the traditions,
Correct.
and they bring others into the culture, and then the whole traditions and everything changes. I mean, you can look at those culture changing moments from say relationships with different races, right?
Right.
Um, and that changes the whole complex because then you start to view the other person differently
Differently, yeah.
after you've met that person. You're like, okay, well, it's not what I think, it's not what I was told or whatever.
And you add some of what their beliefs are into your culture, if you want to put it that way, and it grows. Or it should grow. So about the arranged marriages, I know several ex-military guys that married gals from different countries, and they know very well these countries were basically targeting U.S. soldiers. Like wherever the soldiers hang out, the young girls would come around, and it's basically, as their brothers and sisters of the young girls would say, to find an American man to go back with. And that was a thing. That was a common thing. I mean, there's a lot of kids of those type of marriages. It wasn't arranged, but you're in a foreign country, and the girls come to meet the American soldiers, and they get married and have families and live happy ever after. The flip side to that is some of the gals' parents didn't speak to them for years. Some have never spoken to them again. You know what I mean? So again, arranged marriage, fall in love, target, whatever you want to call it, it's always a very, 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 very interesting dynamic.
Yeah, that's interesting too because like you to touch on what you said, a lot of times we see these stories where the soldiers go into countries that they're fighting wars in, and I don't know, for whatever reason they go looking for love,
Yeah, they
or
do.
you know
Or vice versa. People come looking for love. I don't know.
so what tells you, man, what's even more powerful, the bullets or the bottom?
Uh, yeah, boy, I think it must be the bullets, I guess. All right. Well, I think that's my five questions.
But I want to. All right, that's your five questions. But
Yep.
something that you just mentioned to me about the arranged marriages and stuff, and something came across my mind. I've discussed before. My brain works in some really strange ways sometimes, and
Okay.
the way that I'm able to remember, or to some things just stand out more to me. I it just happens. So
Okay.
um, for example, in Barbados, I noticed, like, I see a lot of um, what do you call it? interracial marriages with I see white men with black women uh, in horse racing,
Right,
and that's pretty cool. But over here in Canada, I don't. I see the opposite. I always see um, white girls with black men.
right.
I don't see the black girls with white men. You have any views on that? What's your thoughts?
So I could say in America, it's pretty common. You see a lot of white men with black girls, and for some reason they got the hottest black girls in the world. I'm like, God damn, bro! Start at the bottom and work up. You know what I mean? Anyway, it'll probably take time for Canada. I think Canada is a more racist country than the U.S. Although spots of the U.S. are really racist, but it will take time. It will take time for that overlap because I would say 30 years ago it was not very common. Nowadays it's pretty common, man. You can hardly go to a restaurant and not see a white person coming with a black girl. And it's usually about the 25-ish to 30 age group. It's not, well, sometimes it's older. I was somewhere recently and saw an older white man with a black woman. So, yeah, it's here in the U.S. I mean, yeah, that has been happening for a while. So it'll take Canada a while before you racist bastards figure out it's okay.
Well, maybe with the merging of the two countries, might become very normal.
Especially you'll be closer to the north, right? The north is more tolerant to, to the interracial marriages. Down
Yeah, the
south,
reception is a little colder.
yeah, yeah. But it's coming though. It's coming, man. It's really coming. I mean,
Hmm.
and to me, the U.S. is sports and I think sports had a big amalgamation for it because now in college sports you always have the races playing against each other and that way the whites and blacks can meet and be on the same level. Yeah, it's rampant in the U.S. Yeah, it's not like not anymore.
All right. Well, that was my thoughts on that.
Yeah,
Uh,
we'll try
all
to
right.
push this stuff north for you.
Yes, yes, please. Just like everything else.
Yeah, yeah, I'll give it 10 years,
All
Daryl.
right.
When we have this conversation in 10 years, you're like, whoa, yeah, yeah. But it will happen though.
I mean, I mean, to my point or to your point, there's a lot of interracial marriages here. It's just in horse racing, I don't see it a lot. That's all. In horse racing in Barbados, I see the two, the like the black female and the
Yeah,
white guy.
you're coming from a
But
different spectrum. Yeah, hmm
yeah, so but here is a little bit different.
it'll
The
take
white
a
guys
while,
don't
man.
seem to want the black girls. I don't
It'll take
know.
a while. It'll take a while. Sometimes it's the right girl too.
Yeah.
Yeah.